again, and thanks for spending part of your day with us here on Leading Edge. I'm your host, Jeff Smith. Coming up a little bit later in this program, with each new variant named, should there be renewed COVID concerns like we saw during the pandemic heading into the fall? We'll talk about that. But first, it's dead, quote unquote. That was the declaration about the Waterville Amphitheater project from the president and CEO of HB Concerts, Hunter Brucks. After meetings, hearings, renderings, legal proceedings, press releases, and press conferences, and not all in that order, but Brucks says he pulled the plug on a plot of land near US 24. But amphitheater talk has always been a hot-button issue in this region, going all the way back to that plan in Rossford years ago to put an amphitheater and an arena over at the crossroads there at the Turnpike and I-75. That one got going in the late 90s, but then it stopped. And you see right here the video showing the teardown. Weeks ago, there were rumblings about that defunct project and what happened out in Waterville. Hunter Brucks, the force behind that project in Waterville, nice enough to join us for today's Leading Edge. Hunter, thanks for being here. We appreciate
Jeff,
you taking the time.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
I wanted to talk to you today about getting from point A to point B because there's a lot of ground to cover as far as where we've been and where we're going.
Sure.
But let's go back to what happened in your estimation, your view out in Waterville. Why Waterville to begin with, and then what went wrong?
Well, Waterville's connection was, as I was explaining off the air to you, that John Henry, who I've named as Vice President of HBC Management, which is the division that will contractually head up the amphitheater, et cetera, et cetera.
Okay.
So John is a Waterville hometown guy. And after the Rossford deal went south as well, found some things in the property over there. Wasn't very pleasant. It was going to cost a couple million to clean it up over there. We made that sound decision to let that property go. John and I had bought the property options, and we were looking into doing the amphitheater there, in conjunction with the casino and the city, et cetera, et cetera.
We're talking about property near the casino.
Right across the street.
We're not talking about the property we were talking about in the early 90s.
No, in the early 90s, you know, some pals of mine, Detroit, Illich and those guys, they wanted to do slash sports arena.
Adirondack.
Yeah, they wanted
hockey team was going to be
that's correct.
AAA level for the Red Wings.
That's right. And then, you know, then it was going to develop out into an open air amphitheater.
Right.
And then it would be an inside arena to do shows similar to the Huntington.
Gotcha.
And that's way before, you know, anything came of this with the casino deal over here.
Of course.
So we went through that process, and because of the property and because of things we were just wanting to get deeper into, I decided to let it go. You know, you have to know when to cut your ties. You have to.
Yeah.
It's business, a tough decision, but you got to know when to let go. So we did such. And then John came to me and said, don't give up on Toledo. And I said, I love Toledo, and I have a history with Toledo. From way back to the Toledo Speedway Jam, I played the first three. Two partners of mine, you know, we went in business together and bought the Toledo Speedway Jam rights. Racing moguls from Toledo, Ron Hemmelgarn and Ron Drager, who owns the Speedway. Yeah. These guys are legends in the business, and they were great partners, and still are in many regards, right? You never know, we might get you out there on a water truck at the Toledo Speedway Jam, right? You don't remember those days.
I don't remember that. I remember a lot, but I don't remember that.
Spray the crowd down in a water truck out there. So anyway, that led me to John, who brought me in. He had dealt with a realtor that said, do you know anybody that can build an amphitheater? And I've designed probably, well, this will be number 8. I do a lot of casino work for casinos, big tribal properties. Yeah. Quaden Casino, Treasure Island in Minnesota, Red Cliff in Wisconsin, Foxwoods, East Coast, you know, all consulting work, et cetera, in discussions with Gun Lake, which is a fantastic development over on the west side of Michigan.
When you say, I guess just bring our viewers up to speed so that I know it as well, because I mean, I'm naive as far as this goes, but when you say, I'm in the amphitheater work. What does that mean? What are you doing? Are you designing? Are you bringing in the contractors? All of the above?
Yeah. Well, coming from the industry since I was a kid.
Music industry,
period. Yeah. And, you know, growing up on a big farm, I had a trucking company and went through all that phase, but met Ted Nugent when I was a kid. That developed into a lifelong relationship. Played with numerous artists. Lived a bit in Los Angeles, a bit in Nashville. I now have an office in Nashville, Tennessee. and one here in Monroe, Michigan, where the farm is now, where I'm from. What happens in the industry, if you're what we call a lifer, okay, you develop a sense, either you have it or you don't have it. And if you have it, you pay attention to all aspects of the industry. What time do the trucks arrive? Where do the bus park? How much power is it? What can I hang off the roof? What's the weight limits? What's the routing of the groups and the bands? Who's hot, who's not?
You are Checklist Charlie.
We are a full turnkey company. I have been since I was a kid.
Gotcha.
You know, I used to hoe soybeans for my dad for a penny a row. I negotiated 2 cents a row.
So we get to the point where you're pulling up the stakes out in Waterville. I mean, and as I said, there were meetings after meeting after meeting after meeting. Finally got to a point where you said pretty much, and we put it on the air. You said it's dead.
It's dead.
Yeah.
It's done. Like the bacon at Dale's Diner, right? And I like Dale's Diner. But no, I mean, it was way over the top. I never saw anything like this. You know, how it became personal, destructive, death threats, lawsuits.
Death threats.
Death threats. Oh, yeah. I ended up, excuse me, with a restraining order against me over a gentleman who became verbally violent at the Board of Elections meeting with me. I stayed cool. It's all on record. And I ended up with a restraining order against me that, you know, I had to hire, you know, high-profile lawyers in town here, Jerry Phillips, and I got great lawyers in town here. And, you know, I had to take care of that for me. But, I mean, it was a matter of surrendering my weapons because the guy said it was an attempted murder charge, because all I said to the guy was simply, you know, you gotta watch your step, right? You know? Be careful here.
So you said you had enough of that.
I had enough of that. It's
and
ridiculous.
all of a sudden, the focus turns to putting new life into the summer concert series that ProMedica had backed for a number of years.
Yeah. What happened there was, of course, the damage with the hundreds of thousands of dollars over there.
Yeah.
Due diligence, lawyer fees, lawsuits was never going to end. Had a meeting with the lawyers, and they said it's not going to stop. It's just not going to stop. The leadership over there, I had problems with that. You know, the mayor voted it down and then turns around and tries to fix everything with me. Went on your station, I believe, the day after they voted for it and said, Hunter's not at the 5-yard line, he's at the 95-yard line. That's damaging.
Yeah.
That's not cool.
Yeah.
Why do that? Work with me.
Caught you off guard.
Totally.
So when we come back, I want to take our first break, Hunter.
Sure.
Stay right there. When we come back, I want to talk more about taking what has happened and moving it forward and trying to make something out of this, making something positive out of this.
We're very excited.
All right, we'll stay right there. We'll cover all that on the other side right after this. Welcome back. We appreciate you being with us. As we went to break, we were talking about Hunter Brucks from HB Concerts Incorporated, who is now spearheading the effort to potentially put an amphitheater in downtown Toledo. But he's also taking over the summer concert series in downtown Toledo at Promenade Park. About a week and a half ago, we talked with the city's Economic Development Director, Brandon Selhorst, and he had some thoughts on what we need to see coming forward. Here's his thoughts.
Our hope is that, you know, this is, we are taking something that's already successful and hopefully, you know, bringing more momentum to that event, because it's a regional draw for this city. If council doesn't approve this, it's very likely that there would not be a concert series next year, which would obviously have a profound impact on downtown and our community at large.
Hunter, you getting any sense as far as city council's feelings or even just a vibe around the city of Toledo if this is going to get approved and go forward?
Yeah, thank you for that. I met with the city council, I don't know, it was a week and a half, 2 weeks ago. So it was very pleasant. It was a good experience. They had great questions. So it's just a matter of if they'll go through their protocol and process and do a final sign off on it. All roads lead me to believe we're good. Anything can happen. I've seen that.
In your view, would you putting this together, does it stay at Promenade Park? And then we also reported there could be upwards of 20, 25 shows that you could potentially bring. Is that all realistic?
It is. What happens in our world, we're a turnkey promoters, producers, talent buyers, full-line production, etc., marketing, all of it. So the deal with ProMedica and the city, of course, County's involved somewhat. We take the risk. So the citizens shouldn't worry about tax dollars going to this kid from maybe Michigan's pipe dream. It's not a pipe dream. This is what I do. So we're going to come in with a full business model. We'll have payroll, taxes will pay the city, 140, 150 people plus a night to do such, right? And then, you know, we're going to use local vendors and what have you. But where we're getting the 20, 25 shows is Promenade Park. We did a full GP drop on it, you know, and a capacity drop. Believe it or not, that park, if it's just tweaked a little bit, can hold about 8,500 to 9,500 people. So we'll bring in a major concert rig.
Safely hold that many people.
Safely.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll reconfigure it. We won't go out into the Madison Avenue. Funny you said that. That's another time, and another story.
Maybe there is something there.
Maybe there's something there. Now we're going to go, you know, with a big stage, big arena stage, full portrait video, and it's all on our dime. We work with co-promoters all across the country, so we take the full risk on the ticket,
But
and the full risk on the show.
One thing that was said a couple of weeks ago was, and Brandon said it as well, if this is going to happen, it's got to happen tomorrow or yesterday, because you've got to start inking these deals.
Well, that's a great point. And they're aware of it too. I just had a meeting with the city this morning. So because of our relationships in our office in Nashville and my buyers there, the industry knows we're there. They've been watching this anyway for a few years, cheering us on.
So they know this is going to be a stop.
They know. Yeah. Oh, yeah. So it's already turned and twisted towards the higher marquee shows, the higher pricing of shows, still keeping it affordable for the general public of Toledo. We'll still do $25, $20, $35 lawn seats, etc.
But you're talking all genres too. You're talking rock, you're talking rap, you're talking R&B, you're talking country. You were talking comedians coming in.
Yeah.
Big name comedians.
Real big. I did the biggest touring selling comedian tour in the country with Adam Sandler, David Spade. Oh, it was Nick Swartzen and the little guy from Saturday Night Live, I forget his name.
Yeah.
But those four were grossing serious money on my casino runs. And they did the biggest one in Minnesota at Treasure Island.
I can't let you go without talking about the potential for if we have this great spot in Promenade Park, why are we even talking about an amphitheater?
Why are we?
I asked you first.
Man, you know, there's a bunch of cats in a bag over here.
But I've been told there are 3 potential sites. One of them, obviously, they were doing their due diligence on near the Valentine Theater.
Yeah, we are. And continue to do that. Just for ground samples and soils. What can it hold? What, you know, you never know. Can an amphitheater?
Are we still at 3 sites? Potential?
I think we're at 2.
Okay.
Yeah, I think we're at 2. But
all downtown.
Toledo.
Okay.
For sure. City limits.
Okay.
Absolutely. Yeah, Waterville's over. Red flags there, red carpets in the city. I commend the mayor for their approach. I commend Brandon. I commend Pete Gherkin from the county. Paul Toth, Connect Toledo. There's some serious cats that, you know, mean business. And we mean business. And they see that. And it's unfortunate in Waterville, but you got to be on point with your business expectations.
This is a bigger minded draw, though. This isn't just providing entertainment for Toledo. This is providing entertainment you want to bring in from Findlay. You want to bring in from all scopes. You want to bring in from South Bend.
Well, we are going to.
Yeah.
This will be we have to be careful with, you know, that's Live Nation territory up at Pine Knob. That's about 115 miles away. So we're conscious of that. We're conscious of Cleveland a bit. But I mean, we have such diversity in the shows that we're going to go after, in the routing. Will Live Nation try to block us from some shows? They could. Now, they do 3, 4 shows, 5 shows.
Seconds.
At the zoo, I'm not worried about that.
Yeah.
And the Huntington Center, I just offered my hand out to Steve Miller and those guys. I'll put shows in there.
They want this to succeed as well.
I believe Steve Miller's a good guy, and he should understand that.
Hunter Brucks, we appreciate the time.
Thanks, Jeff.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Good insight, as always. Stay right there. Shannon Jones joins us right after this. Welcome back. Heading into the fall, colds, flu, RSV, another round of COVID. My goodness, if that is indeed the case, What should we be thinking about another round of the virus? Is this truly just simply another flu of the future? And should we just get used to this being the new normal of having it around? Shannon Jones from the Toledo-Lucas County Health Department joining us, Interim Director. Good to see you. Thanks for coming in.
Absolutely. Great to see you.
Okay, I say all that stuff. I mean, does that make you a little gun shy as well, thinking we could go through this again, or maybe we are going through this again?
Well, I will say that we're not going to be going through what we went through at the beginning or middle of 2020.
Yeah.
It's not going to be like that in the least bit. When you say it's another flu, it's similar to the flu, but they're two totally different viruses. Right. So when you have COVID, you have it from the SARS-CoV virus, and if you have flu, it's influenza A or B. Symptoms are different. COVID generally attacks more cells in your body, and the symptoms are a bit different. Whereas if you have influenza, it's strictly in the respiratory tract.
Let me ask this. When you guys have conversations, and we just had this past week, we did a story where we were just updating people, 5,400 cases reported in the state of Ohio. And this is something the state of Ohio just does. It reports weekly on the number of COVID cases. But I guess our concerns going forward are, do you think we will be masked again? Do you think we will be shut down again? Or have we learned? I guess that was the other reason I wanted to bring you on today, was because we really did learn from going through what we did.
Absolutely. We learned so many different things. We know a heck of a lot more about the virus, how it transmits, the different types of symptoms that you might be experiencing, how to prevent it. In public health, that's what we're all about, is prevention. And if we can put preventative measures in place, you're testing, if you're sick, you stay home, making sure that kiddos are staying home or are washing their hands. I mean, there's so many things that we know and we have employed and have really learned our lessons from it. So I don't think we will be back where we were in 2020, where places were shut down and we were pretty much locked in our homes.
Is that something that, can we say the Lucas County Health Department has said, we don't want to get to that point again? We will not get to that point again?
Sure, you can say that.
Yeah.
I will say the virus has mutated. I mean, all viruses mutate, and they generally are weaker than what they had originally started as. And we have been able to predict the virus mutations and been able to formulate the vaccinations around that.
Right.
So we encourage the booster that's coming out this fall is aimed at the latest variant that we're seeing, and you can actually get the flu vaccine and the COVID vaccine simultaneously to protect yourself from getting each of them in a very serious manner.
We talked about colds, we talked about RSV has been in the news a lot over the last couple of years. And what kind of warnings are you putting out, or even any concerns to our viewers who have those young kids, even expectant mothers? We've heard about the possibility of an injection available for them.
Sure. I don't know if that's quite available yet, but once it's on the market and it's ready to go, we certainly will be promoting that. Whenever you're in close quarters with people, it's colder outside, kids are back in school, germs are going to fly like crazy. So we always try to encourage people to do their best to wash hands, stay away from others that may be sick or presenting an illness. Right. And I know it's easier said than done, especially with kids. But if there's an RSV injection or even intranasal spray that's available, we strongly suggest that that people take it.
What other things are your spidey senses are tingling going into the fall season?
Oh, goodness. There's always things that are going on in the fall season. Yeah. Certainly, it's the flu, it's the respiratory illnesses because they spread so rapidly and so quickly. But just making sure that people are using good preventative measures and common sense. If you're sick, if your kid's sick, stay home. Don't go out and spread. You could always use a mask. I know a lot of people are like, oh, well, masking, nobody uses a mask anymore. There's still several people that do use a mask. While it may not be mandated at some of these locations, many hospitals or doctors' offices still require masking.
I have seen that, and I remember my son and I had surgeries like 6 months apart from each other during the pandemic, and I remember a couple of nurses telling us, I don't know if we'll ever get away from using the masks. just because, once again, back to what we said, what has been learned, it may not be a premium situation for
Sure.
anybody to go through that, but do you think that's a similar situation that we might see this fall?
It's hard to say,
Yeah.
but I mean, based on what we have experienced over the past couple of years, I don't forecast us to be where we were in the height of the pandemic. Absolutely not.
You talked about the vaccines as far as COVID was concerned, as we go back to that in our last few minutes. But with the people who have said that I still got it, and you still have to put it out there that you should get it. But as they keep changing, I mean, how do you wrap your mind around should I not?
So when you get your boosters, it's, I think, every 4 months in between. And when you're getting your boosters, you're building up your immunity in your body to protect against the most latest variant that's
Right.
circulating. You may still get sick. This is not 100% proof saying that you're not going to get COVID. Same thing with the flu. If you do get sick, you are going to experience the symptoms much less severe. And thankfully, now that we have a lot of background knowledge and education surrounding COVID, we have treatments, we have antivirals that help people, especially your elder folks or those who have several comorbidities.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if you do have COVID and you go to your doctor, get on the Paxlovid immediately.
Shannon, we appreciate your insight.
Sure.
Thank you so much. Have a great fall.
Thank you.
We'll be right back right after this. Thanks for joining us this week. Just a reminder, you can find Leading Edge as a podcast and also on our YouTube channel.